Welcome back, football fans. Barcelona has just signed a teenage sensation who's turning heads across Europe. Prodigy, a left-footed prodigy from Sweden with electric footwork, ice-cold finishing, and the confidence to take on anyone. But this isn't just any signing. This is the same 19-year-old who scored a Champions League winner against Manchester United and then disappeared for 10 months after a brutal ACL injury. Now, he's back, and Barcelona is betting on him big. Why him? Why now? What do they see that others missed? Prodigy isn't your average Wonderkid. Born in Kuwait to Syrian parents, raised in Sweden and molded in Denmark, he's already lived 3 lives before La Liga. He became the youngest scorer in FC Copenhagen's history, then stunned the world with a last-minute goal on Europe's biggest stage in May 2024. It all came crashing down, but he didn't quit. He came back hungrier. Barcelona moved quickly, sealing a €2 million 0 cents deal ahead of Chelsea, Man United and Real Madrid. Now, the pressure is real, and so is the spotlight. Stay with us as we uncover the journey behind Europe's boldest young talent and why Barcelona believes Prodigy might just be their next miracle. They say, legends don't rise in silence, they rise in storms. And this storm has a name, Prodigy. Barcelona has made a bold move, a move that isn't about headlines or hype, but about belief. They've just signed a 19-year-old winger from Sweden, a kid who once dribbled through mud in Malmo, now walking through the gates of Camp Nou. This isn't just a transfer story. This is a story of exile, injury, redemption, and resurrection. Born to Syrian parents in a refugee zone, Rooney wasn't handed anything. He fought for it. And now, after stunning Europe with his Champions League brilliance and surviving the kind of injury that breaks most careers, he's heading to the biggest club in the world. Prodigy isn't just wearing a shirt, he's carrying the weight of dreams, doubts, comparisons, and hope. Barcelona sees something in him, a spark, a flare, a fire, but is it the fire of a future icon or a flame that burns out too fast? Prodigy wasn't born in Barcelona. He wasn't raised inside the legendary halls of La Masia. He didn't grow up surrounded by football agents, brand deals, or elite academies. He was born in Kuwait City in 2005 during a time of unrest to Syrian parents who had fled the horrors of war in search of safety. His earliest memories weren't of football pitches, but of displacement, uncertainty, and the quiet strength of survival. There were no shiny medals, no fanfare, only the quiet promise his father made in the shadows of war. One day, you'll be free. At just 7 years old, Rooney's life changed when his family was granted asylum in Sweden. But freedom didn't come easy. The streets of Malmo were cold, not just in weather but in culture. Rooney didn't speak the language. He didn't look like the other kids. He was called names, marked, pushed aside. They didn't understand me, he once said, so they ignored me. But there was one place he always felt at home, on the pitch. When Rooney had a football at his feet, everything else faded. In the alleys and open fields of Malmö, he didn't run, he floated. Coaches from Malmö FF's youth side started noticing something different. He wasn't the fastest, he wasn't the tallest, but when the ball came to him, time slowed down, one coach recalled. By age 13, Rooney was already dominating local youth tournaments, outplaying older, stronger kids with ease. That's when FC Copenhagen came knocking. They saw potential, raw, rare and unpredictable. Rooney signed a youth contract and moved again, this time across borders chasing a dream. In Denmark, he exploded. His technique was razor sharp. His football IQ was years ahead of his age. His first touch, magnetic, like the ball was part of him. By 15, he was dismantling older academy defenders. By 16, he made his professional debut and didn't just play, he scored. At 17, he wrote his name in the history books as Copenhagen's youngest ever goal scorer in the Danish Super League. A refugee child, once lost between borders, was now reshaping the future of Scandinavian football. But Rooney didn't chase the spotlight. He didn't give big interviews or show off on Instagram. He let his game speak. "I'm not from a football family," he said, "but the game gave me a place to exist." He wasn't chasing Messi, he was chasing belonging. And somehow, with every match, he was getting closer. In 2020, while most 15-year-olds were busy juggling schoolwork, TikTok, and video games, Rooney Barça was already on the radar of Europe's sharpest talent scouts. Word had started spreading through Nordic football circles. There was a boy in Denmark doing things with a ball that looked unreal. During a youth tournament in Copenhagen, one particular performance changed everything. A scout from FC Copenhagen watched, stunned, as Rooney sliced through defenders, not with raw pace or power, but with a calm, calculated elegance. His movements weren't flashy, they were efficient, intelligent. He made the ball disappear, said one youth coach, then reappear somewhere no one expected. That same year, FC Copenhagen wasted no time. Rooney was brought into their youth academy, and from the first training session there was no doubt. This wasn't just another promising teenager, this was something else entirely. His progression was lightning fast. Within 2 years, at just 16, Rooney made his senior debut for the first team in the Danish Super League. He didn't just fit in, he made an impact. Within days, he scored his first professional goal, becoming Copenhagen's youngest ever league goal scorer. It wasn't luck, it was composure, timing, talent. But it was November 8th, 2023 that changed everything. A UEFA Champions League night in front of a packed Parken Stadium. The opponent? Manchester United. The scoreline? 3-3. In the 87th minute, Rooney received a ball near the right flank. He cut inside. One silky touch, 2 defenders beaten, and then a left-footed strike that curled past Onana into the top corner. The crowd erupted. The camera zoomed in. A teenager had just delivered the winner against one of football's most iconic clubs. It wasn't just a goal, it was a moment, a global announcement. That was the night football fans across Europe said, "Who is this kid?" Overnight, the interest exploded. Chelsea, Tottenham, Real Madrid, Manchester United themselves all wanted to talk. His agent's phone didn't stop buzzing. But Rooney, he didn't change. No Instagram fame chasing, no wild interviews, just training, playing and staying focused. Rooney the streets of Malmo to the Champions League spotlight in just 4 years. But football has a way of testing even its brightest lights. And just around the corner, a challenge was waiting, a gift and a curse. The morning after Rooney Barça stunned the world with his winner against Manchester United, football media across Europe erupted with the same headline, "The Swedish Messi has arrived." And just like that, the nickname stuck, the Swedish Messi. It sounded glamorous, a compliment, a prophecy, but also a curse? Why the comparison? Well, it wasn't completely without reason. Rooney is left-footed, operates on the right wing, and has a unique ability to glide past defenders with graceful footwork. His style is more poetry than power. Sharp cuts, body feints, precise finishes. He doesn't muscle his way through. He floats, much like the man whose name he was now carrying. Even his low center of gravity, his ability to control space, and his vision under pressure reminded people of a young Lionel Messi. He's a mix of Messi and Kulusevski, one Premier League scout reportedly said. Crafty but direct, but with praise comes pressure. Crushing pressure. Suddenly, every match became an evaluation. Every touch was weighed. Every moment on the pitch, either a step toward greatness or a stumble toward disappointment. Some critics began to poke holes in his game. He disappears in physical matchups. He doesn't have long-range explosiveness. He hasn't done it in a top 5 league. The same voices that once hyped him now questioned him. Then came the true test. In May 2024, just months after his Champions League heroics, disaster struck. During a routine league match, Rooney planted his left foot awkwardly while turning. He collapsed. No contact, no foul, just silence. The diagnosis came quickly. Torn ACL. His season gone. His future uncertain. And just like that, the headlines disappeared. No more Messi 2, no more highlight reels, only whispers. Was he just hype? But Rooney didn't chase sympathy. He disappeared from social media. He turned down interview requests. He focused, trained, rebuilt. Rehab was 10 months of pure struggle, pain, doubt, isolation, but he pushed through. In March 2025, he returned to full training. His first game back wasn't flashy, no goals, no assists, but he was moving, passing, dribbling, and most importantly, believing. Messi? No, he said quietly to a Danish journalist after the game. I just want to be Rooney. The rest is noise. And while the world waited to see if he could rise again, Barcelona had already made up their mind. They weren't signing a brand. They were signing a fighter. They weren't betting on hype, they were betting on hunger. The football world was buzzing. Rooney Barca had just lit up the Champions League with a stunning goal against Manchester United, and big clubs were circling. It looked like nothing could slow him down. But life, as always, had other plans. In May 2024, during a Danish Superliga clash, Rooney made a sharp turn, something he'd done 1,000 times before. But this time, he didn't get up. The stadium fell silent. No contact, no foul, just a sharp, sickening twist. It was confirmed within 24 hours, a torn ACL. One of football's worst nightmares, FC Copenhagen quickly announced that Rooney would be out for 8-10 months. The headlines that once called him the Swedish Messi were now filled with words like tragedy, setback, and uncertainty. At just 18, the rising star was suddenly forced to stop everything. No training, no matches, just surgery and solitude. It was the longest year of my life, Rooney admitted later in a rare interview with BT DXE. Every morning, I had to ask myself, will I ever be the same again? While fans and scouts moved on to newer names, Rooney stayed locked in. Rooney stayed locked in. It was pain, ice packs, treadmill sessions, and mental battles. He stayed off social media. He didn't post training clips. He went dark. But inside, something was burning. 10 months later, in March 2025, Rooney stepped back onto the pitch. The pre-season friendly, just 20 minutes. But the reaction? Goosebumps. Fans stood, coaches teared up. His parents watched from the stands, holding hands. He didn't score that day, but he dribbled past 2 defenders, just like old times. And that was enough. It wasn't just a comeback, it was proof. This isn't over, he whispered into a sideline camera. This is just the start. While many clubs hesitated after his injury, Barcelona didn't blink. In June 2025, top-tier sources, including Fabrizio Romano, confirmed it. Barca had reached a verbal agreement to sign Rooney Barca from FC Copenhagen. The deal was set at €2 million, 0 cents, with additional performance-based add-ons. It was a bold move, but not a blind one. Barcelona's scouting department had been tracking Rooney closely since 2022. They knew his style, his stats, but more importantly, they understood his mentality. They monitored his rehab journey after the injury, watched the tape of his first game back, assessed his mindset under pressure. They didn't just see potential, they saw resilience. Rooney got the call during a quiet break in Copenhagen. His agent told him the words every young footballer dreams of: Barcelona wants you. He reportedly froze on the spot. I thought he was joking, Rooney told Sporting's comment. Then I just sat down and cried. Back home in Malmo, his family gathered in their modest apartment. There was no big celebration, no media circus, just his closest loved ones, warm Arabic tea, and the kind of silence that only happens when dreams come true. You're going to the club of Messi, his father whispered. The same dream you've had since you were a boy. Barcelona isn't just a football team, it's a legacy, a myth passed from Cruyff to Ronaldinho, from Xavi to Messi. And now, somehow, Rooney Barca was stepping into that same story. The official agreement included initial integration into Barcelona B, training under Hansi Flick with the first team, and potential loan options to clubs like Mallorca or Real Betis to ensure consistent match minutes. Within weeks, Rooney was on a plane to Spain for medicals and pre-season evaluation. And when he stepped into the Ciutat Esportiva wearing that deep Blaugrana jersey for the first time, he wasn't grinning like a kid. He was locked in, laser focused. "It's not about being the next Messi," Rooney said. "It's about writing my own story. Camp Nou is no playground, it's a crucible." And Rooney Bargucci knows it. After signing with Barcelona, the spotlight dimmed, but the pressure only intensified. Rooney's real test didn't come in front of cameras or in press conferences. It began on the training ground. He now shares the pitch with some of Spain's brightest rising stars, Lamine Yamal, Fermin Lopez, Nico Williams, and seasoned wingers like Rafinha, all fighting for a place in one of the most demanding systems in world football. Every drill is measured, every sprint is clocked, every mistake echoes longer than the applause. Though officially training with Barca B, Rooney is constantly evaluated by Hansi Flick himself. The German tactician reportedly impressed by Rooney's massive technical potential and composure under pressure. There's cautious optimism surrounding a possible La Liga debut late in the 2025-26 season, but nothing is guaranteed. It depends on many moving parts: his form, injuries within the squad, and most importantly, how fast he can adapt to the speed and structure of top fleet Spanish football. But Rooney isn't in a hurry. He's been here before. The hype, the headlines, the hard fall that followed. This time, he's rebuilding. Slowly, methodically. He's the first to arrive at training, often the last to leave. Coaches say his work ethic is unmatched. Even his teammates have started to take notice. He's serious, a Barca B midfielder told Mundo Deportivo. Quiet guy but explosive when he gets the ball. Behind the scenes, staff are focusing on rebuilding his endurance and match sharpness post-ACL, as also heavy emphasis on positional awareness and off-the-ball intelligence, crucial for anyone hoping to thrive in Flick's high-pressing, high-possession philosophy. And while some fans continue to throw around nicknames like the Swedish Messi, Rooney's learned to tune out the noise. He's been through too much to be shaken by labels. "I don't want to be Messi," he told TV2, that "I just want to show I belong." The weight of expectation is enormous, the margin for error is razor thin, but Rooney Bargucci is climbing again, one sprint, one pass, one clean touch at a time, and if the stars align, Barcelona may not have just signed a talent, they might have uncovered their next miracle, because in every football era, a few stories stand the test of time. Some flicker and fade, but others, they break, rebuild, and rise again, stronger, sharper. Ready Rooney Bargucci has already lived that arc, from refugee camps to Malmo streets, from local pitches to the Champions League spotlight, from ACL heartbreak to the gates of Camp Nou. And now, at just 19, he stands on the edge of something enormous. Barcelona didn't sign him for marketing. They signed him because they see a player who knows pain, resilience, and responsibility. Someone who's already stared down football's darkest tunnel and found the light. He isn't the next Messi, he's the first Rooney. And that's the story he's writing. Every day, every match, every touch, Rooney's journey has only just begun. He hasn't lifted a La Liga trophy. He hasn't made his El Clasico debut. He hasn't heard 90,000 fans at Camp Nou chant his name yet. But one thing's clear, he's not here to survive. He's here to leave a mark. "It's not about proving people wrong," he said in the 2025 press Q&A. "It's about proving the people who believed in me right." So now, all eyes are on him, the Swedish wonder with a Syrian soul, the kid who wouldn't quit, the boy who became a man before the world noticed. His legacy isn't written yet, but the ink is fresh. Do you believe Rooney Bargucci will rise to the challenge at Barcelona? Is this the beginning of a new chapter in Barca history, or just another name on the list? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button if you felt the story, and don't forget to subscribe for more football deep dives just like this. The story of Rooney Bargucci is just getting started.